Good morning and welcome. It's Football Friday.
Yes, it's time again for Buddy Martin. Call him up and tell him what you're thinking. But be kind because he's doing the best he can.
Better, stronger, faster.
Mama says that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
Hey, what if the voice calls while you're gone?
Take a message.
Bye!
You ready, champ?
I'm ready for this my whole life.
I'm incapable of small talk. But that's why you love me, right?
Kind of intimidating to be in the presence of so many great athletes.
Good morning and welcome to a Football Friday Pick City. That's right. We get your picks today. I've got a whole bunch of picking going on here today. I'm in about 3 different contests. Ocala Quarterback Club, Joe Williams, etc., etc., etc. Holding my own in one, not so much the others. But, hey, it's what it's all about, isn't it? Making the picks on Football Friday for the big weekend. Florida, trying to prove it belongs, headed to Nashville to take care of business to see if this team, in fact, is a pretender or a contender. No reason to expect anything out of the ordinary, but you never know. It is SEC football. On the program today, coming up in just a moment, Joe Williams, the Hitman, will join me. He doesn't know I'm going to ambush him this morning. And if he gets mouthy with me, well, I'll have to do this. I'll bring this picture up, and I'll tell you a little story behind that picture right there. It's pretty vintage right there back in the day. And yes, that is Joe in the chicken suit. It had to do with picks, okay? He doesn't watch the show online. He doesn't know I'm going to spring this on him. We have a contest going right now. I think we're somewhere closer than $200 of each other. We started at a mythical $10,000. I think I went up to 12 something and Joe. Anyway, Joe was up for a while. I was up last time I looked, and then Joe didn't come on the show last Friday. So we're going to start again. I'm going to say, all right, Joe, I know we had 12,000 apiece. I'm going to give you a chance. Here's my picks. Where are yours? And how much are you playing on each one? It's been a very interesting week. Coming up at the bottom of the hour is the Iron Duke. France Beard will give us his take. He's out with his new list of endangered species, coaches who might get fired, who might not. Also, we'll get France's take on whether or not he thinks that Florida could get trapped. And that's not a word we use this week, because to get trapped, you kind of have to be surprised. I mean, an animal gets trapped because he doesn't know there's some kind of device there, a bear, whatever. And they know what's awaiting in Nashville. Dan Mullen's team does. And he's trying to get this team to grow up and realize that these are the games where you have to take care of business. So good morning to you, Roger Burns. Boy, all the way over there in Ningbo, China, buddy. Good to talk to you this morning. CJ, how are you doing today? John Enrico, hello. Jim Harris. Yeah, happy Football Friday to you as well, Jim. I love Fridays. I like to get the show done early and then step back, have a little dinner on Friday, and then 9 o'clock in the morning step up and turn on the College Game Day and go wall to wall, 9 a.m. to midnight. We got some really good games this weekend. Some things will be decided, like in Baton Rouge, Red Stick. There's a big game, and I heard somewhere this will be the last time in like 15 years that Georgia goes to Baton Rouge. So welcome to our world here in the SEC East, where the Gators go every other year, except when they get a bowl game. They get a situation like they did with Joe Oliva, and he and Foley get into an argument, and he has to give up one date to get what he wanted. So anyway, yeah, Gators got an important game this weekend, and then, of course, clearing the decks to set up the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. Look, I'm not endorsing drinking. I understand why the University of Florida did this years ago after the death of some students. But look, we consume alcohol. It's a fact. And by the way, there's a lot worse stuff to consume these days. So I'm calling it the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. You don't have to drink. You can drink water. But my point is, let's not take away what's a long-time tradition. Are you with me on that? What do you think? All right? Good morning to all of you out there. Kevin, Jim, Ramon, Van, Jason, CJ, Alexander, Joe, Lynn, and Janice also checking in. Good to hear from you, Jess. Okay, so let's do this thing today. I've got a little unfinished business to take care of here. I've got to go back over my quarterback club picks, which we did not put on the air on Wednesday night. And there's a young man who's a 10-year-old kid, and I've known for since he was a baby. He has had an incredible year in picking games. Beats his dad every week. By the way, his dad's a huge Gator fan. His name is Ben Shashi. He makes a cameo appearance. And then my friends, Fred Landt, the scorekeeper for the Ocala Quarterback Club for years, like 30 years. And then Danny Williams. I'm just going to tell you, Danny gets a little mouthy sometimes, okay? He got a little lucky. He got ahead. He gets, so I'm kind of aiming for Danny this week. And here's my thing. Look, I'm going to own up to this. I made a stupid play, but I did it kind of for effect. Kind of get, when things were not looking good and Gators were down after trouble start, I made a pick here. And I thought Colorado State could cover 22 points. I didn't know they would wilt in the swamp with the hottest day ever. But nonetheless, they covered. They did not, that Florida covered, and I lost a big part of my bankroll. But so what? It's mythical. So I'm having a little fun with that. But as I point out in my piece, you're going to see, is that what are we doing here? Look, I mean, I was 3-2 last week, as good as those guys, better than Fred. So why shouldn't I say, how about wins, W's and L's? I'm doing pretty good. I'm tied for the lead on that. So anyway, again, that's why I don't gamble. Money will get you in trouble. And so here was that conversation before we go to Joe Williams. Here was the quarterback club picks. Have a listen and tell me what your picks are. And do you think we should be allowed to call it the world's largest outdoor cocktail party? I'm not going to mention that again because it's Vanderbilt today, but next week we'll talk about that. Here's our quarterback club picks. Welcome back to the Ocala Quarterback Club here at the Outslides. 3 high rollers. Well, 2 high and 1 low. But this is where we pick our games every week. As the people pile in for the quarterback club meeting tonight, our special guest is going to be Wally Huff, I believe, right, for the speaker. And looking forward to that. So every week we gather here at the table to have a conversation about this card and some of the picks that the scorekeeper lays upon us. And tonight, before we go further, shall we have an update first from Fred, by the way, Fred Landt, scorekeeper, Danny Williams, the maestro of Las Vegas. They send limos for him there, okay? So he's really rolling. I'm just here trying to pick up the game guy. Fred, where do we stand?
All right, week 5. Buddy went 3-2, had a $100 bet more for his wins, and so he's plus 100 for a total of $900 out of the beginning mythical bankroll of $5,000.
Get down to 6 figures. 4 figures.
You're at 3 figures, 900.
Getting up to 4 figures. That's the next level up.
All right, Danny went 3-2 plus $50. He had 2 large bets, but he missed one and got one. So he has a total of $4,550 out of the beginning mythical bankroll of $5,000. And I went 2-3 for minus $250 and am down to $4,500 of my mythical $5,000 bankroll. So Danny's ahead by $50 right now, and Buddy is in the dust with only $900.
There is one other figure, however, you got to add in there. Let's put in wins and losses total. I think in that department I did pretty good last week. I continue to pile that up. So if you want to know rights and wrongs, making one little wager that didn't go right, I'm the guy getting the ones right. So that's just me. Listen to me if you want to know who's going to win. Who goes first this week?
Well, if you want to know, you have picked 13 out of 20 correct, Buddy.
That's not bad.
When you go to the store, do you pay?
I'm sorry, 13 out of
losses?
25. 13 out of 25.
I'm above 500.
And
I'm making money if I'm in Vegas.
Danny has picked 13 out of 25 correct.
Okay.
And I've only picked 12 out of 12.
Well, there you go. That's my case. Good night, everybody.
Take the wins and losses to the store and try to buy stuff.
W&L.
Take
That's
the
all.
money.
You think Dan Mullen cares about how many points he wins by? It's a W, baby. Who goes first? This guy over here?
For week 6, Danny's going to go first.
Okay, you going to read the games out for us?
I am. The first game is Washington at Oregon. Oregon gets 3 points. Second game is Colorado +7 at USC. The third game will be Wisconsin +8 at Michigan. Fourth game is Georgia at LSU, who gets 7.5. And the fifth game is Florida at Vanderbilt, who gets 7. So we're going to start with Danny. Washington at Oregon.
Washington and Oregon. I think Oregon's pretty overrated.
Hold on one second. Yes, sir? Las Vegas is calling.
Las Vegas is calling.
Thank you. To get your picks. It affects their line. Go ahead.
I just want to win 3 out of 5 here today. I'm going to take Washington -3. I think they've played a much tougher schedule than Oregon. I'm going to take one underdog, Colorado +7. Michigan plays Wisconsin. Time for Michigan to get going, I believe, and show that they belong into maybe the Final Four after if they can beat Ohio State. But I'll take Michigan -8. That's probably the bet that scares me the most here. That's 8 points is a lot. Georgia -7.5 to LSU. Georgia's going to score up there in the mid 30s and hold LSU down. I like the dogs -7.5, and Florida -7 for sure in Vanderbilt. I didn't say what I was betting there, Fred. So let's bet 500 on the Gators, 500 on the Bulldogs, and then $100 on the other 3. No doubt winners.
Well, pretty much you and I are exact opposites except for one game. And I'm going with Oregon +3, okay, over your Washington team. I'm going to go with, I like Colorado a lot. I mean, I like the way they played. I watched them a couple of times. The team is playing well, getting no respect. I think they're the class of their league over there. And then I've got, well, I can't get my phone to work here. Let's see if I can get this. What's the next game down?
Got USC, Colorado, Michigan, and Wisconsin.
Nah, I'm taking Wisconsin on the points on that one. And then Georgia and LSU, I'm going to take LSU, take those 7.5. And then finally in the Florida game in Nashville against Vanderbilt, where, by the way, Florida's won 26, the last 27 games, not there, but overall. I'm taking the Gators, and I'm laying the 7 points.
How much you going to bet there?
Everyone are going to have $100.
Buddy, what was your pick in the USC Colorado game?
I took Colorado.
And your pick in the Oregon Washington
I
game?
took Oregon +3.
For $100?
All of them $100.
All right. So Washington at Oregon, I'm gonna bet $250 a game on all 5 games. Washington at Oregon, I'm going with Oregon. Colorado at USC, I'm gonna go with Colorado. Wisconsin at Michigan, Michigan. Georgia at LSU, Georgia. Florida at Vanderbilt, Florida.
Okay, we got 2 different. So, well, there you go. That's it. That's how it goes. And,
you sure you don't want to change your picks like you usually do?
Which one would you change?
Now, you know you want to.
If you could change
I'm
one.
going to change one tonight.
Which one were you going to change? Would you change? Florida?
If I was going to change one, Washington to Oregon.
Washington, Oregon. Let's go the other way on that one.
Yeah.
No, I got Oregon.
Bets are in, guys.
All right. How are you feeling about this? Here's the guy who won a little shashi. Get over here a second.
You got a 7 last week.
Wait, what's up? I want to know. Here's the guy who's a real. Are you 11 yet? 10. Okay. This has been Shashi. He beats his dad like crazy every week at the picks, and he is really. What's his record for the year? He's got to have maybe. Does he get the best record of the year?
No, but he's in the top 3.
Okay. All right. So Ben, let me just say, pick out a game that you can help us out with, or anyone you like, and let's see what you can do for us. Ben's good at this. Anyone you like there? If you had $1 million to bet, what would you bet on?
LSU, Georgia.
LSU, Georgia. Why?
Because I think it's going to be a pretty good game.
And who's going to win it?
LSU.
LSU's going to cover. I knew. See, I told you. What did I tell you?
That's what you took.
There you go. Well, there you have it. Ben Shashy says Gators cover. So let's do this. Let's get a quick word in from Hightower, Daniel L., and we'll go talk to Joe Williams.
Job-related accidents create incredible stress on your finances, your relationships, and most importantly, your sense of well-being. When the adjuster is not approving benefits you're entitled to by law, you need Dan Hightower to help you understand all of your legal options. Daniel L. Hightower has been fighting for accident victim justice in Ocala and statewide since 1976. Call Daniel L. Hightower today to better understand all your legal options. 352-629-7777.
Hightower lawyer fighting for accident victim justice since 1976. For those of you who might not know this, I go back a long way with Joe Williams. We've been doing radio together for maybe 30 years. It's been a while, and we've had lots of fun, spirited debates over the years. Joe's very good at picking football games, and we've always had this little thing during the season where I go on his show and pick, and then he goes on my show and picks. And so far, we're probably pretty close, although I confess I wouldn't tell him this. Joe's a better picker than I am. So,
Joe, you know what to do.
We'll see. He's not answering his phone at the moment, which is not a good thing. So there you go. He said he'd be ready, and he's not. We have this little thing going on. I see your picks up there, by the way, today here on a Football Friday, it's fun. It's just fun. I mean, never take yourself too serious. I see Robin gets her pick in, what have you. So we'll continue to take your picks while we kind of reach Joe again on his phone to see if we can get his picks for the. I hope he's not going to duck out on me again here, because last week he didn't show and we ended up having to sideline our picks. So I want to prove to him once in a while. I have a little. Well, there he is answering his phone in the third ring. It's good to know he is finally there, and it's an important morning because I'm going to expose Joe for what he is. Okay, a would-be picker. And, we have some history behind this, as I was telling people, that Joe and I have been picking football games. And I just actually added up my entire career against Joe. And, Joe, I'm ahead of you 154 to 110 lifetime, okay?
Well, even a blind hog finds an acorn once in a while.
Good morning, Joe. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing fine. Ready for another big college football weekend.
Yeah, it is. It is another football weekend, and we got some business to do here. I've got your ugly mug. I'm shooting your handsome mug up on the screen here right now. A picture of you at your radio show.
It isn't the one on Huskerpedia, is it? The
What's
one
that,
had
Joe?
Me in the chicken suit?
What are you talking about? Oh, what chicken suit? What are you talking about?
Oh, you remember that one, the Huskerpedia, that website in Nebraska?
What was that?
Had me,
I don't remember that. What was it?
Oh, okay. Well, they had.
Oh,
let's put it this way: it's a very unflattering picture that the Nebraska website had. But yes.
What was it of?
Me in a chicken suit.
You in a chicken suit? A real? You mean like you're wearing a green striped shirt and you had a rubber hat on? You mean that? And I'm sitting next to you. Oh, wait a minute! It's on the screen, right? It's right now on the screen. It's on the screen. It is on the screen right there, the famous chicken suit, and we have to tell that story. Although I would admit Joe's a better picker than I am over the years and has beaten me more times than not. I happen to get one up on him on this one, and this was a classic. It's really a part of lore in college football history in Denver. This and this is how it went, Joe. It had to do with us picking Colorado and Nebraska, a team that you love to hate, and you guaranteed a victory, and what happened?
Do we have to go over this?
We do, because the picture's on the screen. And people are saying, what is this? They're saying, what is this right here? Come on, Joe, own up.
Well, it's a chicken suit.
Yeah?
I said,
and why are you wearing it?
If Nebraska beat Colorado.
Yeah.
And they did. Some unfortunate circumstances.
Yeah.
Somehow I ended up on that TV show in a chicken suit.
Oh, my goodness. We had some fun with that one. Well, anyway, that was history. Just had to bring that one up for our fans seeing us the first time, by the way. You look very handsome in this suit. In fact, it may come into play again, by the way, just in case. That's a possibility, Joe in the chicken suit. Let's go with this. Here's the deal. I'll take this picture off. I don't want to further humiliate you. I want to give you a chance, fair fighting chance. Joe, we didn't get to pick last week for various circumstances. I don't know. We've seen some whatever reason we have had connection problems lately. Last time I looked, and I looked for the records of what I picked, and I had a pretty good week, and I would have been ahead. But I'm going to disband that. I'm going to start back at where I know we both were at one time. We were at $12,000, was it? $12,200. I know I had. I think you had about 12. So let's make it even, Steven. Let's say we're both at 12,000. Okay.
Okay.
So we can start over because I didn't get your picks last week. I would have trounced you, but hey, that's the way it goes. I've got 5 circle games.
Well, I'll tell you right now, my big pick was Notre Dame over Virginia Tech.
Yeah, well, I don't have any proof of that, so there you go.
I understand that. I'm not a person that can be believed. I know just at face value. So
no,
if we don't have validation, then it doesn't.
No validation. By the way, I had them also, just so you know. So I had Notre Dame as well. So there you go.
Well, see, unlike you, I believe you.
Well, I didn't say I didn't believe you. I didn't say that. I wouldn't accuse you of being a liar. You're an honest guy. But, what can I do? We have to have a real contest here, and we have to have some kind of validation, don't we? I mean,
well, just so we get it in real quick here, in the pros, I like the under on Jacksonville and Dallas, under 41.
So you're picking the pro games now, huh?
Well, one of them.
Okay.
That one.
Okay. Well, Jacksonville's fun right now, Jacksonville is fun. It's a fun team right here right now. So I'm putting your other picture back on the screen here. This one of you worked. All right. Here's the games. If you would be so kind as to, if you don't mind, you can throw in what else you want. I've got these done and picked on my side, and let's take them one at a time. All right. Let's start with the big game in Baton Rouge, where I've got LSU as a 7.5-point underdog against Georgia. Who do you like, Joe?
Well, they're begging you to take LSU, so that tells you right off the bat, as you reach for your wallet, you hit pocket just to make sure that somebody hadn't got an extra hand slid in there. You think about that. That 7.5 to you, I know, looks fatter than Shelley Winters. But let me tell you, you're being misled. They're begging you to take LSU. Don't do it. Take the Bulldogs. They'll run away from LSU.
You could have used Roseanne Barr or something. That Shelley Winters thing is kind of worn out. Okay, how much you betting?
I'm going to go $1,000 on that.
$1,000 Joe has. Okay. Just so you know, I am taking LSU, and I do have $500 bet on the Tigers to cover. So that's a big game for us right there. Okay, one I know
you to take them. You know that, don't you?
Well, I am going to take them. Now, you don't have to invite me. I actually eyeball that LSU team. I know a little more about them than you do, just so you understand. Just like I knew more about Florida last week than you did. That's another story. Michigan, on your show,
you mentioned, by the way, in the analyzation of that game, you knew LSU has that game won until that quarterback throws that pick six.
Huh.
You know that, right?
Joe,
all Florida Gator fans understand, and that game was won until he throws the pick six. So,
Joe, you used to be popular around here till that comment. By the way, do they pay for that in Vegas? They had the game won. Or do they pay you off on that? Because I don't think they do. You say, well, my team was going to win, but there was a pick six. I don't think it pay on that, Joe. So stop whining, will you, for crying out loud? I mean, the fact is that
I'm doing comparative scores.
Listen, as someone says on the screen right here, what's Joe smoking? That's the comment they just made. What's Joe smoking? That would be a good question, Joe.
That's what I wouldn't give for another cigarette.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. We won't go into that story.
John says all games are won until a mistake is made. So there you go. His comments.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah. Well, you brought it on yourself. I got some attack dogs in this group here. They won't. You can't run that jive past them. You might work out in Denver, but around here it doesn't work. Okay, just so you know. This is the Internation Kingdom, and they know their stuff. All right?
Well, just for the record, I got the Georgia Bulldogs in this game. So,
okay, that's fine. All right, let's go around down. We got about 3 or 4 minutes here before we got to go, and I want to get you out on time because I know you get grumpy if I keep you longer than 7 or 8 minutes in your contract. This game is interesting. Michigan, Wisconsin.
Tell your fans I've got all morning.
You got all morning.
I don't have to go anywhere.
Oh, so, wait a minute. Somebody said, "Oh no, please."
That's on you.
Somebody said, "Oh no, please don't." That's what they said. So anyway, yeah. No, you've been doing this radio with me, though, Joe, for 20 years down here. Okay, so we're on Facebook Live now, but we've been doing this a while. So, John says you can have the Bulldogs next week too. By the way, if you want them against Florida, so that's 2 weeks from now, actually.
Oh, I'll take that one right now, sight unseen.
Okay. You're the guy that's been telling me Florida can't win with Felipe Franks, too. Anyway, let's move on. Michigan and Wisconsin. I've got Wisconsin underdog by 8. And some people think this is the game where Michigan proves itself. Your thoughts about that game?
Wisconsin is pretty one-dimensional this year, and their defense is not what it has been. I'm not sure exactly why all that is, but if you've watched them, ever since Notre Dame, Michigan has been Northwestern's pretty good, and they had to come from behind to beat them. But Wisconsin is just not that impressive to me. I'm going to go with Michigan here, but I don't have a lot of confidence in them. I'm going to go Michigan for 500.
Michigan 500, Alex. Okay. By the way, here's another comment for you, Joe. Lynn says, "Is this Joe Corso?" Anyways.
These people making these comments.
They're on the screen right along next to your picture, just so you know. Len knows his football. All right, Oregon and Washington. Washington, a team that people thought might be a Final Four. Oregon, a team probably better than what their record indicates. Who you got in this game? By the way, I told you I had Wisconsin in that for 500, just so you know, okay?
Okay, very good. Well, we're opposite ends of the spectrum this week.
We are.
Washington is another team that has not been impressive this year. We thought they would be. They had almost their whole team back, and they have just they haven't been impressive. They've been winning their games, all except Auburn, but they haven't been winning them impressively. Oregon at home, getting 3.5 points. That one looks very fat to me, and I am taking the Ducks. I'm taking the Ducks plus 3.5, and I will take them for 500.
500 on the Oregon Ducks. Man, are you crazy? 500 on the Ducks?
3.5. Mm-hmm.
Guess what? I'm taking them too. So there you go. That's bad.
Well, you're a wise man.
Yeah. Well,
Justin Haber, or whatever his name is, going to light them up.
Yeah, we got to know his name before we can say it. I do like this game a little bit, but I like this one better. Your Colorado Buffaloes, a 7-point underdog at USC. This team, I think, it might be, this is my opinion, this is based on me watching them on TV, reading, this might be the most underrated of the undefeateds right here, Colorado. And quite frankly, I think that line's fat. What do you think? USC favored by 7 over your Colorado Buffs.
Yeah, I have to be careful here because it's the home team, and we all tend to get wrapped up in our, home team exploits, if you know what I mean.
How's my team doing, by the way, just so you know?
Yes, yeah. Well, they're not undefeated, I can tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
But Colorado has never.
They are ranked 14th in the country, just so you understand that, okay?
Colorado's never beaten Southern California. By the way, I had Texas over Oklahoma.
So did I. By the way, so did I.
Colorado has never beaten Southern Cal since they've been in Pac-12.
Think they will this time?
If you've watched Southern Cal this year, they're not a vintage Southern Cal team.
I'll say.
They've got a 17-year-old starting at quarterback who should be in high school right now. I don't know why the number is 7. They're begging you to bet Colorado. They are. And you almost have to disqualify yourself because I really want to see you to win this game. And so I would only put $100 on this.
$100? Wow. Well, I thought you were jumping all over this game.
I don't want to let the hometown bias get in my way of handicapping a football
stop
game.
with it. You know this is a wrong line, and you know that this is – they may not win the game, but they'll definitely cover. That's a bet of the week, Colorado to 7. You kidding me? Come on.
Buddy, I hope you're right.
All
I
right.
hope you're right.
Now, the big game.
I'm basically just qualified.
All the rest of those games don't matter because there's a bigger game in Nashville. Okay? the Florida Gators on their way to being able to take on the Georgia Bulldogs in 2 weeks, are going to Vanderbilt. They are, at this point in time, this line has them at 7, although I've seen higher. You want Vandy in 7, or do you want Florida?
Well, I don't like the game either way.
I don't care if you like it or not. You just got to pick it.
I'll pick Vandy for $100 plus 7.
Vandy for $100. You have a little faith.
I don't like the game, so I'll just put $100 on it. Since you're making me pick it.
Well, I mean, you can pick. You want to do the card next time? I'm just going by what I got here. I mean,
that's your show. I'm just saying.
Okay.
I don't have to like every game that
well,
you do.
All right. You don't have to whine every time you pick this. You know?
I think Florida's going to win. I think they are. I'm pretty sure they are, but I'm not real sure they're going to win by more than 7 points. That's why I'm taking Vandy. Because, as you pointed out, I know Florida's getting ready for Georgia, and they're on the road after a big win last week, and that's the way college football goes.
So you think it's a sandwich game? You think it's kind of a sandwich game?
That's exactly right. And I still think Florida can win, but I'm not certain they're going to win by 7 points.
All right.
So.
All right. By the way, there's another comment.
Vandy for 100.
Yeah.
Give me another comment, another snide remark.
One more remark, I'll let you go. It says, Buddy versus Joe in a steel cage match, WrestleMania, book it, he says.
Yeah.
No, Joe and the chicken
Sarah
suit.
From Sarasota?
Yeah. This is Jim. This is Jim Harris. It says Buddy versus Joe in a steel cage, WrestleMania 35, book it. I like it. I think it's got some possibilities, you know? Oh, man. All right, Hitman. So you're going to stay at home or you're going to watch tomorrow?
CU's on the road. I don't do road games anymore, so I'm home.
You're home. All right. You're sitting in front of the TV starting at your time, which will be early, and you'll be watching wall-to-wall football.
That's right.
Well, me too,
I'll start
Joe.
out with those Gators and Commodores at 10 o'clock Mountain Time.
All right. That sounds good to me, Joe, and we'll see you next week. See how we did. Talk to you later, buddy. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Okay. All right.
Joe Williams, the Hitman, checking in with us here. It's always fun to have Joe on. All right. We're going to do this, and then we're going to get a hold of the Iron Duke and talk about the Gators looking around. Is this a sandwich game? We'll see. We'll see what he thinks about that. First, I want to tell you about this place, Mark's Prime, which is a good place to be on Football Friday if you can get there. This week you may have a better chance because the folks are not here from Baton Rouge, but last week they were packing the place. They know good food. We know what I think about this place. One of my very favorite restaurants anywhere, not just in Marion County. Mark's Prime Steakhouse and Seafood. They talk about this goal to create a unique dining experience for the please your palate and soothe the soul. And that's just really basic for another way of saying if you want really good food and really actually borderline great food sometimes, great food, you want a terrific atmosphere and service, this is the place you need to go. Their beef is top notch. Their seafood's fresh. They have a great wine selection. I went to the bar last week, had a couple of glasses of Cab. It was really good. They have fresh vegetables. So if you like good food and good atmosphere, good service, and good ambiance, one of the best restaurants in Florida, Mark's Prime Steakhouse. You can go online at marksprimesteakhouse.com. Or if you're in Gainesville, you can call 352-336-0077. Try to get a reservation there. I'm telling you, you'll love it. Ocala is 352-402-0097. They have a complimentary valet service. And, of course, when the weather's bad, it's always great to have that kind of thing going for you. Mark's Prime Steakhouse and Seafood. You're going to love it. You can tell them Buddy sent you, okay? All right, so we're going to get this off the screen and do one more thing. Let's go talk to our friends about this beautiful blue shirt called the Circle 15. I had a dozen of them. They're really good. All right, so we'll get rid of some of these things on the screen. We've been carrying Fred Landt's name around here for a while. We don't need to do that. Sorry about that, Danny Williams' name. Get rid of that. Let's do this now. Let's go see if we can talk to our buddy, the Iron Duke, Franz Beard, and get his take. Always good to, by the way, if you haven't seen his column, be sure and check it out. It's all over. It's on the Buddy Martin Show page on Facebook. It's on. It's also on Gator Nation Daily News. It's on the website. If you haven't seen that website, it's still a work in progress, but you need to check it out because we're getting ready to do some really interesting things there. And you see the show, by the way, there too. It's archived there. So, go to BuddyMartinMedia.com and check that out as well. You'll see the work of one Francis Beard, who joins us on the program this morning on a Football Friday. It's a little early for us to be doing this, Franz, but hey, we got to get this out of the way so we can enjoy the weekend, right?
It's already started. Last night, two really good football games on. Georgia Southern beating Texas State on the road in San Marcos, and then Texas Tech beating TCU at Amon Carter Stadium, 17-14, and a game that really shocked me because I wasn't sure that the folks at Texas Tech knew how to play defense, but they sure played it last night. Yeah,
I wonder when Texas Tech was going to show up. It's about time. They need to start winning some games. That was a meaningful win for them last night. I watched just a minute of it in the first half. Low-scoring game.
17-14. And Texas Tech changed quarterbacks at halftime to do it. So, really, really big ball game. Big win for them. And a shocking kind of nosedive for Gary Patterson and TCU. They played so well against Ohio State. Since then, they've been very, very average.
They sure have been average, and I think he's one of the most underrated coaches in the country. Let's talk about Florida-Vanderbilt, a game that people are a little nervous about. I think Florida's won 14 in a row up there, which doesn't mean all that much, as we know, looking for Kentucky and 31 in a row. But so they're ranked 14th now, and getting ready to face Georgia here. I just talked to Joe Williams earlier, my friend in Denver, who likes to masquerade as a handicapper, and he points out something good. This is a sandwich game, coming off the biggest win that Florida's had in a number of years, now getting ready for Georgia in 2 weeks, and you wonder, they're focused and they're prepared, and it's not a trap game because they know it's coming, but sometimes it's just hard to get your mojo going on a game like this, and it's 11 o'clock in Nashville. We had Willie Jackson on the show earlier this week at the Quarterback Club, so I used to hate those games up there at 11 o'clock. Do you see any danger here for these Gators against the Commodores?
The biggest thing I'm concerned about is the early start, as you said, 11 a.m., and the fact that temperature is going to be mid-50s. Cooler temperatures, and, sometimes in the cooler temperatures when you've been used to the heat and the humidity, it takes a little while to get yourself unwound. But I will say this, Florida hasn't had a close game in Nashville since 2006 when they won that one. They had to hang on to win that one 26-21. The rest of the games up in Nashville until 2016, they've only had one close game since then. 2016, it was a 13-6 game in which Jim McElwain did his best to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. But Florida typically plays very, very well up there. One of the things that we have this strange myth is that Florida plays poorly up there in Nashville, but that's not
true.
The case.
Right.
That's not been the case.
Yeah.
I think the Gators will play very, very well. Dan Mullen, what he needs to focus his team on is, look, guys, you play as hard as you can, and you get all next week to rest, to get yourself body back in condition, whatever like that. Sleep extra hours, less intensity. You don't have to work for a game. Urban was great at this, and I think Dan has carried that over from his time with Urban. That when you only have to get up 12 times all year. Obviously, there's times when you're not as high as others, I don't know that necessarily that Florida will be as high as they were last week, but last week you've got to remember we had 90,000 people there providing a lot of energy for the football team, and they're not going to have 90,000 people providing energy there, so they're going to have to make their own energy. But I think that Florida will have enough energy, and they certainly have enough talent to win it.
Remember when Steve Adazio on the road, when everyone was there, would go to these games like in Mississippi, and he would go and pull them out of bed and shake them up and holler at them and scream at them to get them awake. Because that was always a big problem, getting them awake and getting them alert and aware. And that's one thing they did to try to remind people, you got a game, it's a different time zone. Your body's not prepared to go out there and play a game at 11 o'clock in the morning, but you got to go do it. And I think that was one of the things that they did, obviously.
Vitamin A, they called that. Getting your vitamin A to start the day.
Right, exactly. That's exactly right, Adazio. So, it's been an interesting week. And one of the things that we've talked about a lot this week with you earlier in the week and then our guests is what Mullen has done. And by the way, you can't get too full of yourself either. As good as Dan Mullen has done, he still hasn't done anything really other than beat LSU so far. So we've got to keep that perspective. But if you want to talk about coaching, you want to talk about intelligence and smart play calling, and we'll talk about development of talent, which, by the way, were two of the things that you and I talked about that should be part of what they do in a new coach. Have a guy who can run an offense, call plays, someone who has a developed talent. Those are two of the parameters we insisted the new coach at Florida had to have. And by the way, Dan Mullen does both of them very, very well.
I think that the difference, one of the huge differences here, is Mullen has a coaching staff that he trusts. And these guys know how. This is a very professional coaching staff. When I say professional, they know what their job is and they know how to get the job done. I don't think Dan has to look over his shoulder and wonder if his coaches are actually getting the job done. Something that I think Old Yeller had to do. He had a not so great coaching staff, and I think that was part of Florida's problem for 3 years, was having a coaching staff that really understood what the objectives were. I think this is probably as underrated an aspect of what Mullen brings as a head coach as anything, is that he knows he has good coaching staff that understands their roles and their objectives and their jobs. And then he lets them get it done, and they do it. They accept his trust, and they get it done. And I think that's just one of the more underrated aspects of Dan Mullen. I really do. I'm so impressed with him. But like you said, you can't be too full of yourself. You cannot be too full of yourself. You got to go in there knowing and believing that these other guys are going to put it all on the line. And you got to be ready for that.
Yeah, and in his press conference, I'm just remembering I was there on Monday, and the story today was what you expect. Mullen used a cautious tone in discussing the buzz around the LSU win. Great as it was, it's a dangerous time after a big win. He says, I don't know that we're much ahead of where we were in the program in July. Maybe, if any, we're a little. I think it's a positive buy-in from the guys on the team. The offseason, I think they got to see their physical gains and strength, and that builds confidence. Then they're buying into our offense, defense, special teams, our plans to win football-wise, and they're starting to see success with that as well. So that always helps and makes the buy-in a little easier. Those are familiar terms if you followed Urban Meyer. You remember The Plan to Win was the book that we wrote together. Anyway, yeah, so I think he's got it in perspective. It's certainly something that I think he's got a grip on. Let's shift ahead and play what if, okay? We know what's ahead. Again, the sandwich game we talked about is that coming off a big win, playing in Nashville, even though it's a myth that Florida has struggled. I looked up the scores. The 96 team struggled. A couple of years ago, they struggled. It's really not been a difficult game, and Florida's won 26 of the last 27. So anyway, there's that. Let's get to the point of the game in Jacksonville, a team you love to hate. And I'm you're with me on this, I'm sure. Let's do two things. Number one, I understand it's coach's job to get the team ready. Gator fans can be happy, and you can keep your pedal to the. You don't have to pump the brakes. Go ahead and put the gas down. Enjoy this time. If they win tomorrow, you got 2 weeks of bliss. You got the chance to celebrate right up to the Georgia game, and we'll see what happens there. And by the way, I'm not going to go back into the political correctness of not calling it the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. Has nothing to do with consumption of alcohol. That's just the festive nature of this game. So I've asked people to give me their thought, and my people are coming in like John says, no, he's sticking to world's largest outdoor cocktail party. Where are you coming down on that, France?
Oh, it's been the world's largest outdoor cocktail party for. I think Jack Hairston is the one that named it that back in the 1950s.
Tell them who Jack Hairston was, because a lot of people won't know.
Jack Hairston was the sports
or pronounced Harston, as he used to say, but we only call him Hairston. Yeah.
He was the sports editor of the Jacksonville Journal, and then became the sports editor and columnist of the Gainesville Sun, former president of the Football Writers Association of America. Mm-hmm. And truly a legend in sports writing. He was known as Just the Facts Jack because he wasn't a fancy writer, but by golly, when you finished reading his article, you knew what everybody did. And it wasn't there was no fluff in what Jack did. But Jack did name it the world's largest outdoor cocktail party, and it stuck. And it has nothing to do with consumption of alcohol in the confines of the stadium. It has everything to do with it is a gigantic party starting on Thursday in Jacksonville, and it really doesn't stop. The party doesn't really end until Sunday about noontime. It is people who haven't seen each other in years or in months, this is the time they get together. They schedule, like my friend, who's a great Gator down in Jupiter, Doug Wedgeworth. What he does is he has a big party. He and some of his Gator buddies have a big party out at the yacht club. Every single year, they bring in a band and people dance and have a great time, and people plan their whole year around this ball game. So it is the world's largest outdoor cocktail party, and I don't give a damn what anybody else says. That's what it is, and that's what it will always be.
If you talk to the Georgia people, I've talked to them extensively, including Lawrence Smith, the former SID, et cetera, and you talk to Steve Melnick, our friends. These Georgia people, they plan their vacations around this. They come down to St. Simon's Island. They come all the way up down, from to Ponte Vedra, and they buy up every hotel room there is, and they party for a week. If you've never been to Ponte Vedra and walked up and down Ponte Vedra Boulevard, or even some of these other places like St. Simon's, et cetera, they really know how to put a party on this weekend. It's a huge celebration, and it is a celebration of tradition. It's a celebration of football, celebration of these two states. And by the way, I've gone to a lot of Georgia parties. My friends, the Watsons, who by the way happen to be Auburn graduates, who used to own a house right there on Ponte Vedra Boulevard, took me to many places that were Georgia parties. So Gators and Bulldogs party together. It's a festive time, and it's all what makes this a great rivalry. And by the way, it's usually gone in Florida's favor recently.
Well, Steve Spurrier is the one who changed that because he drew a big red circle around Georgia on the calendar and was 11-1 against Georgia. Even Ron Zook was 2-1 against Georgia, and Zooker. Bergen was 5-1. Muschamp had a winning record against him. The tradition has been that Florida is going to win this game, and that's been that way ever since Vince Dooley retired.
You're gonna love this. One of our listeners, Ramon Bernhard, says we need to rent a sign saying the world's largest outdoor cocktail party and have a plane fly around the stadium. Now, there's a good project next year for the Gator Nation Kingdom. Let's get a pilot, a plane, and a sign, and say it's still the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. Maybe make us some T-shirts. What do you think, friends?
Oh, I'd love that. I would definitely love that. I think it was Bernie Matchin who wanted to tone it down. The rhetoric is
well. There were some kids who were killed, and students who died. They got inebriated, and I get that, and I understand that, all that. But now, look, let's move on after past that and say, there's a lot worse things than having a cocktail. And I think we got to put it back in perspective and realize it's part of what we are and what this is about. So I think this is why there's so many people who are in favor of it.
Well, I think that tradition trumps in this case because you have the history. Like I said, it's like the idea of moving this game out of Jacksonville. I know that there was some talk once that, okay, we put it in Atlanta one year and then it would be in Jacksonville.
That would ruin it. That'd ruin it.
It would, and believe it or not, it was the Georgia people who howled the loudest.
Yeah,
about
because they want to come down there and go to those condos and on the beach and all that stuff. They love it down there.
You can't escape tradition. This game has been played there for more, I guess, how many years? 70-something years. It's been played in Jacksonville, and you talk to Florida players and Georgia players alike who tell you when they come over that bridge, and all of a sudden they're looking down and there's the stadium, they all get the goosebumps on their arms, the hair stands up on the back of their necks, and that one moment when they're coming over the bridge in that bus, they understand what this is all about. Then you get in the stadium, and they used to divide it in quadrants. You used to have an orange and a red, orange and blue and a red and black, an orange and blue and a red and black. Now they just cut it right
one whole side of the state, just like Texas, Oklahoma. One whole side Georgia, one whole side Florida, which is really something. Hey, friends, what's your earliest recollection? When's the first time you went down and went to the game in Jacksonville?
My first game there in Jacksonville was, 1968.
The one in the rain? That was 60.
Yes, I was there. It was cold. It was miserable. It was just. It was.
It might have been. Yeah, that was 68 because that was a year before the Super Sauce. That's one of the reasons.
51 to nothing.
Yeah.
And Vince Dooley has one of his center said, "Gee, Coach, I never kicked a field goal in a game."
Backup center.
Yeah, I never kicked a field goal in a game. So Dooley calls timeout to have this backup center come in the ball game and try a field goal, and he makes it to make it 51 to nothing.
Yeah,
and that's one of these things. We have a former coach here who's better known as the head ball coach, who has one of the longer memories ever known to mankind. And he has never.
I think they call him Get Even Steven.
Jack used to tell me about playing tennis with Steve and said, Steve, if Steve was on the losing side, he always wanted to play one more set.
Oh, I've played golf with him on several occasions. I can understand that. That's how that goes.
But Spurrier never. Gene Ellenson called Spurrier after that ball game and told him what had happened, and Spurrier never forgot that. I had Ellenson on my radio show in 1991. I had him on the Friday before the cocktail party, and Gene recalled that. He said, I called Steve up, and he said, Steve said a bunch of things I can't say on the radio.
Right.
And he says, and he looked at me on there, and of course people in the radio audience couldn't hear it, but he looked at me and with a look like you had to have seen it to remember it. He said, "Steve Spurrier will never, ever forget that."
He didn't. And when he put 50 on him up there, and in Athens, he called Ray Graves and said, "Coach, we got him back." He never would admit that, but that's what he did because Ray Graves told me. Hey, we've got about a minute. I want to talk about this game, and we can talk about Georgia next 2 weeks. Let's talk about what can happen. A lot of firepower on defense. They got to throw the kitchen sink against Shermer, in my opinion, and shut him down and let Vandy try to beat him on the running game. What do you think is going to happen in this game tomorrow?
Well, I think Florida's going to go with a game plan very similar to what Will Muschamp had against him. Will Muschamp had to he kept the pressure coming off the edge, but he kept the blitzes coming from corners and safeties, and it was never the same place, and Shermer had no clue where it was coming from. They pressured him. He averaged only 4.7 yards per pass attempt. Florida's got to keep Shermer under 6 yards a pass attempt, and they can't let Keyshawn Vaughn, their breakaway running back, the fastest running back they've had there in years, they can't let him get to the second level. He broke off the 43-yard run against Georgia. He had a 78-yard touchdown run the week before. He's a guy that has great speed, and Florida can't get caught in that run blitz, and he all of a sudden pokes through and gets to that second level. Somebody's got to stay home and make sure that they eat this guy up. But if they do those two things, Florida will win this game by a couple of touchdowns at least.
All right, Francis, have a good week. Well, we might do a little. What do you think about maybe doing a little show tomorrow during the game, just popping in a few times during the game and making some comments? So do you feel up for that?
Just give me a call. Let me know.
We'll see what happens. We might go on to Gator Nation. We'll go on the Gator Nation Kingdom page for a change and get in there and talk a little about what we've seen, what we saw, maybe a halftime, whatever, and see how things work out. You want to try it?
Let's do a halftime show. A halftime show, I think, would be kind of cool.
Well, the producer kind of wanted us to be on during part of the game, so we'll see. But we'll try. We'll talk tomorrow morning, okay?
All righty.
Thank you, France. France Beard, he's, of course, the Iron Duke, and he's on with us every Monday and Friday. We're, by the way, just so people know, and those who are hearing the first time and seeing, this is a podcast also. We are on iTunes. We're on Stitcher. We're on SoundCloud, of course. We're on several of the. We're on TuneIn Radio. As a matter of fact, our podcast is up, usually posted the day after for those people who can't necessarily be there live. And of course, this show is on Facebook Live, which we're still battling to figure out why the live notification is not going off like it should. But hey, you're there, and many of you will be listening to this later. So enjoy this broadcast on a Friday. Football Friday, and let me just say I want to get a couple of words in here about some folks, not the least of which is Center State Bank. They're our friends who sponsor our Ocala Quarterback Club preseason membership drive, which has always been very successful and very and they do a great job in the community. By the way, if you don't know about them, you should ask about what they do. They will let you rent. Actually, they let you use, if you pay the cleaning fee, the second floor of this beautiful building. They've had weddings and parties and meetings, and we had our quarterback club there with Megan Mullen. It's a terrific facility, and I love that they share it with the community. That's something you don't really hear from banks, right? So Center State Bank, of course, they're also pretty good in the banking community. There are 82 locations in 30 Florida counties now, probably more since I last got this copy, and they have the core values of being locally driven in the marketplace, long-term horizon, relationship banking. They have world-class service, all part of what the core values are at the bank. So check them out. Go to centerstatebank.com. Find out the one closest to you. This beautiful building is over on Silver Spring Boulevard, where I do my banking. You can call them 352-368-6800. Like I said, if you want to know more about where to get one near you, well, they have great. By the way, this bank has great cookies, just so you know that. All right. And they also have pretty good people. So if you want to say hi, tell them Buddy Martin sent you. Center State Bank, centered on community and customer service. Okay, appreciate that very much. And also, I just want to be sure to remind you, if you're in the market for this kind of thing, you need to check out Tupperware. Jen Lay is one of our members, one of our moderators, and one of our leading people here, has a little business on the side where she has this Tupperware business. And I bought some stuff from her and plan to buy some more. This is just one of the items I've got up on the screen, the microwave pressure cooker. There are many other fine things there you can get, including stuff you can get for the holidays. If you're in need of what to buy for a family, it makes a great gift for folks a holiday time to put those Christmas cookies in, what have you. And so check out, go to jenlay.my.tupperware.com and find out what they've got there. And if you have an organization you want to raise funds for, Tupperware gives 40% of all sales proceeds back to the organization. So if you got a little league team or a church or whatever, they can do that for you. So again, you can also go to Tupperware Jen on Facebook, find out, order from her people. It's a great way to have a Saturday afternoon spread or a tailgate. It's also a good product, been around for a long time. Most of us who've been around as long as Tupperware know our mothers and grandmothers have used it quite some time. All right, final word for, so I want to say to my people at the Quarterback Club, it's always good to be with my friend. Who's that guy? Wait a minute. That's not Terry Bradshaw. What are you doing there? Bradshaw, I need to catch up with. I've had a chance lately to visit with him, and he's been busy doing Thursday night games, Sunday games, but we will catch up with Terry soon. And horrible performance last night by Eli Manning and the Giants, and things are not looking good for the Giants here right now. So we'll clear our deck here and say thanks for listening and watching. Be sure and tell your friends about the show. Just remember, we're on Facebook Live Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday nights at 9, and then Football Friday is on at 11 o'clock on Fridays. For those who say we need a show tonight, well, you got this one. You can always go back and watch it back and check it out there. So I thank you all for being here today. I'm excited about the weekend. I hope you are too. And we'll talk to you Monday night. Maybe tomorrow, by the way. Check it out about a little before kickoff time. We might be here. We'll see you.